What if I told you that the reason your blood sugar won't stay under control has almost nothing to do with how much sugar you're eating? What if the real problem is sitting right there in your kitchen in the foods you've been told are perfectly safe, maybe even healthy? I know that sounds hard to believe, but stay with me because in the next few minutes I'm going to show you exactly why blood sugar behaves the way it does after 60, and more importantly, the 6 specific foods that can help bring it back under control starting this week. I'm Dr. Abzu, and over the years I've spent working with patients in their 60s and 70 seconds. I've seen this pattern repeat itself hundreds of times. People doing everything right, cutting the cake, skipping the soda, following the diet their doctor handed them on a printout, and still the numbers come back wrong. Still the fatigue, still the cravings, still the frustration. And here's the part that will surprise you: in most of those cases, it wasn't what they were eating too much of, it was what they were not eating at all. Stay with me until the end, because I'm going to share something almost no doctor will tell you about how the aging body processes glucose differently and what that means for your plate. But first, I want to hear from you. Has your doctor ever talked to you about food as a real tool for blood sugar control, or were you just handed a list of things to avoid? Drop your answer in the comments right now. To understand why those 6 foods matter so much, you first need to understand what is actually happening inside your body when blood sugar becomes harder to manage after 60. Here is the way I explain it to my patients. Picture your cells like locked doors, and insulin is the key. Every time you eat, your pancreas produces insulin. To unlock those doors so that glucose, your body's fuel, can get inside, when you are young and healthy, that key fits perfectly. The door opens fast, glucose moves in, and blood sugar levels stay balanced. But as we age, something changes. The locks start to get stiff. Insulin is still being produced, but it does not turn the lock as easily as it once did. In other words, your cells become less responsive to insulin. The scientific term for this is insulin resistance, and it is one of the most common and underdiagnosed processes happening in the bodies of people over 60 right now. Think of it like an old door in a house that has settled over the years. The key still works, technically, but you have to jiggle it, force it, work harder just to get the same result. Your pancreas responds by making more and more insulin, working overtime trying to compensate, and for a while it manages. But over time, that constant overwork wears the system down, blood sugar starts creeping up, energy starts dropping, and the frustrating part is that none of this has anything to do with willpower or effort. It is a biological shift that happens with age, and it responds beautifully to the right nutritional support. Here is what the research is consistently showing. Because certain whole foods contain compounds that actually improve how well your cells respond to insulin. They help loosen those stiff locks, they reduce the inflammation that makes insulin resistance worse, and they do it gently, naturally, and without the side effects that come with medication adjustments. Now, before I walk you through each of those foods, I want to know your name and where in the world you are watching from today. Type it right there in the comments. I read every single one, and it means a great deal to me to know who I am speaking with. Now let me tell you about Margaret. Margaret was 67 years old when she first came to see me. She had been a school teacher for 32 years, the kind of woman who packed her own lunch every day, walked 30 minutes every morning, and had not touched a soft drink in over a decade. By every measure, she was doing the right things. And yet her fasting blood sugar was sitting at 138 milligrams per deciliter, well into the pre-diabetic range, and her energy was so low by 2 in the afternoon that she was falling asleep at her desk. Her doctor had told her to cut carbs and exercise more. She was already doing both. What nobody had told Margaret was that her diet, though low in sugar, was also nearly empty of the specific fiber and polyphenol compounds that aging cells need to restore insulin sensitivity. We made one change first, one single change. We added half a cup of cooked lentils to her lunch every day. Lentils are one of the most powerful blood sugar stabilizing foods available. And I will explain exactly why in a moment. Within 6 weeks, Margaret's fasting blood sugar had dropped to 112. Within 4 months, it was 98, completely normal. She told me, sitting in my office with tears in her eyes, "Dr. Abzu, I thought this was just what getting older felt like. I didn't know I could feel this way." Again, that sentence has stayed with me for years, because she was not the exception, she was the rule. If you are still here with me and finding this helpful, take a moment to type 2 in the comments. It lets me know you are following along, and it helps this information reach more seniors who need it just as much as Margaret did. So what are these 6 foods, and why do they work so specifically for people over 60? Let me walk you through each one, and I want you to understand not just what to eat, but why your body responds to it the way it does. The first food is lentils, and you just heard what they did for Margaret. Here is why. Lentils are extraordinarily rich in soluble fiber, the kind that forms a slow, gel-like substance in your digestive tract that physically slows the absorption of glucose into your bloodstream. In other words, instead of glucose rushing into your blood all at once and spiking your levels, it arrives slowly and steadily, like a controlled drip rather than a flood. The common mistake people make with lentils is avoiding them because they think all legumes Spike blood sugar, that is simply not true, and it is one of the most damaging myths in senior nutrition. A small serving of lentils at lunch 3 or 4 times a week is enough to produce a measurable difference in your post-meal glucose response within weeks. The second food is raw or lightly cooked spinach, and this one surprises almost everyone. Spinach contains a compound called alpha-lipoic acid, which acts as a powerful antioxidant directly involved in glucose metabolism. Think of it like a maintenance crew for your insulin receptors. It goes in, reduces the oxidative damage that makes those cellular locks stiff and helps restore their sensitivity over time. The mistake people make here is cooking spinach until it is completely soft and dark, which destroys a significant portion of its active compounds, lightly. Or better yet, raw in a salad or smoothie is where spinach delivers its real benefit for blood sugar control. The third food is something almost every senior already has in their kitchen: cinnamon. But here is what most people get wrong about it. They sprinkle a small pinch on their oatmeal and consider it done. The research consistently points to a meaningful daily amount closer to half a teaspoon to 1 full teaspoon to produce a genuine effect on fasting glucose levels. Cinnamon contains bioactive compounds that mimic insulin activity in a mild way, helping your cells take up glucose even when insulin resistance is present. In other words, it acts like a gentle backup key for those stiff locks we talked about earlier. Use it daily, use enough of it, and use Ceylon. Cinnamon specifically, it is the variety with the most research behind it and the lowest levels of a compound called coumarin that can be problematic in large doses of the cheaper cassia variety. The fourth food is fatty fish, specifically salmon, sardines, or mackerel, eaten at least twice a week. Here is what the research is consistently showing us about omega-3 fatty acids and blood sugar. Chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the primary drivers of insulin resistance in older adults, and omega-3s are among the most effective anti-inflammatory compounds available through food. By reducing that background inflammation, fatty fish helps restore the cellular environment that allows insulin to work properly again. The mistake seniors make here is relying on fish oil capsules alone and skipping the actual fish. The whole food delivers additional proteins and cofactors that the isolated supplement simply cannot replicate. Twice a week, a palm-sized portion of fatty fish, and your cells will feel the difference over time. The fifth food is apple cider vinegar, and before you scroll past this one thinking it is a wellness trend, let me tell you what the clinical research actually shows. A small amount of apple cider vinegar consumed before a starchy meal has been shown in multiple studies to reduce the post-meal glucose spike by up to 30%. In some individuals, the mechanism is well understood. The acetic acid in vinegar slows gastric emptying. In other words, it slows how quickly food leaves your stomach and enters your intestine, which directly reduces the speed of glucose absorption. 1 tablespoon diluted in a large glass of water, consumed 10 minutes before your biggest meal of the day. That is it. Simple, cheap, and measurable. The sixth food is blueberries, and this is the one I save for last because the science behind it is genuinely exciting. Blueberries contain a class of compounds called anthocyanins, the pigments that give them their deep blue color, and these compounds have been shown to directly improve insulin signaling at the cellular level. Half a cup of fresh or frozen blueberries daily is enough to begin producing a benefit. The common mistake is eating them alongside high-sugar yogurt or granola, which cancels out the benefit entirely. Eat them alone as a snack or with plain Greek yogurt and nothing added. Let the blueberry do its work without interference. Now let me tell you about Raymond. Raymond was 71, a retired postal worker who had been on metformin for 3 years. His blood sugar was controlled on medication, but he was exhausted. His joints ached constantly, and he had gained 14 pounds since starting the medication. He came to me not to get off his medication. That was his doctor's decision to manage, but to feel better while on it. We added lentils, spinach, blueberries, and fatty fish into his weekly routine systematically over 8 weeks. His inflammation markers dropped significantly. He lost 9 pounds without changing his calorie intake, and his doctor, on his own observation, reduced his metformin dose by half at his next quarterly review. Raymond called me to tell me, and he said something I will never forget. I stopped believing food could do anything. Now I believe in my fork again. That is exactly the kind of shift I want for every single person watching this video today. Before I move forward, I want to say something important, and I want to say it with the care it deserves. If you are currently on medication for diabetes, blood pressure, or any related condition, please do not make changes to your medication based on anything you hear in this video or anywhere online. Bring these foods to your doctor. Show them the research and make changes together under supervision. Food is powerful medicine, but it works best as a partner to your medical care, not a replacement for it. Your doctor is your ally in this, and so am I. Now let me cover the most common mistakes I see seniors making when they are trying to manage blood sugar through diet, because knowing what not to do is just as important as knowing what to add. Mistake 1: eating sugar-free labeled products and assuming they are safe. Sugar-free does not mean glucose-free. Many of these products contain maltodextrin, rice syrup, or refined starches that spike blood sugar faster than table sugar. Read the full ingredient list, not just the front label. Mistake to skipping breakfast to lower morning glucose. This is one of the most counterproductive things a senior with blood sugar concerns can do. Skipping breakfast triggers a cortisol response that actually raises fasting glucose and increases insulin resistance throughout the day. A small fiber-rich breakfast is always better than nothing. Mistake 3 drinking fruit juice instead of eating whole fruit. A glass of orange juice delivers the sugar of 4 oranges with none of the fiber. The fiber is the mechanism. Without it, juice is simply liquid sugar regardless of how natural it is. Mistake for eating the right foods in the wrong order. Research now clearly shows that eating vegetables and protein before carbohydrates in the same meal reduces the post-meal glucose spike by a significant margin. Same foods, same amounts. Just eat your salad and protein first. Mistake 5, assuming that because a food is whole grain it cannot spike blood sugar. Whole grain bread and whole grain crackers are still rapidly digested in most seniors with reduced digestive enzyme activity. Pair them always with fat, fiber, or protein to blunt the glucose response. Margaret's words have stayed with me since the day she spoke them. She thought feeling exhausted, foggy, and out of control of her own health was simply what getting older felt like. It is not. It was never supposed to be. What she needed, what you may need right now, was not another medication, not another restriction, not another thing taken away. She needed to be given something back. 6 foods, real food, food that works with your biology instead of against it. Starting tomorrow morning, I want you to pick just one food from this list and add it to your day. Just one. Lentils at lunch, blueberries as your afternoon snack, a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Before dinner, cinnamon on your morning oatmeal. One change, 1 week. Then come back and tell me what you noticed. If this video helped you see your body in a new way today, please give it a like right now. It takes 1 second and it helps this information reach seniors who are still struggling and do not yet know why. Share this video with someone in your life, a spouse, a sibling, a friend over 60 who has been told their numbers are creeping up and has not been given a real answer, and subscribe if you have not already, because next week I am covering something that shocks almost every patient. I show it to the one morning drink that millions of seniors consume every single day that silently raises blood sugar for hours without a single symptom. You will not want to miss that one. As always, everything shared in this video is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for personalized medical advice from your own healthcare provider. I am Dr. Abzu, and I will see you in the next one. Take good care of yourself. You deserve to feel well.